I've never tried to please the crowd because what I know they don't approve of and what they approve of, I don't know. That is Epicurus by way of Socrates, I think, by way of Seneca in a letter to Lucilius. But let's talk about it. Hey guys, Warren here. How are you guys doing out there? So today, that's what I want to talk about, is having to conform to societal expectations and what we lose really when we do that. And I mean, our conversation can go in so many different directions, but I want to share a story, a personal story about it with you to get us started. And when I was my first deployment, 1990 Desert Storm. Well, my unit, the incident occurred in my unit prior to deployment, but it spilled over into deployment. And it goes a little bit to culture and race because I was taunted so much by this group of fellow African American soldiers because of how I spoke, music choices, books I read. I was even told that I spoke white. I still don't know what that means. I mean, how do you speak white? And I know, I get what they're getting at is enunciating and speaking properly. I know that's what they're taunting. The scary part is, why is that associated with whiteness? I mean, education is education, right? Anyway, this conformity that people expect of us is dangerous because some of us fall for it. Yeah, some of us fall for it. But it takes away from us forming our own opinions, something else that is problematic today, right? With social media and the like. It's so quick to jump on a fence because of the sound bites that we hear on whatever platforms we get our influx of news. And we take those, and that's what some of us use as debate, which I'm going to get to intellectual integrity in a minute, but sound bites are not debatable, okay? They're not debatable. There has to be substance. And when there's no substance and you truly realize that and separate yourself, you get taunted. You get called names. And I'm not sure where those guys ended up, but it was really bad because some of that behavior spilled over into other soldiers who were white. And it was a very toxic group. I wouldn't say unit because it really wasn't a unit. There were some great people in that unit. And in my platoon, it was just the bad oranges in the bunch. But yeah, I am not sure where they ended up, but conformity is dangerous. It's dangerous, and it comes from so many things: culture, religion, politics, and of course, I mentioned the soundbite agents. But when you no longer choose to form your own opinions, what do you lose, really? What is lost? Authenticity. That's what is lost. Authenticity. You're giving up who you really are for what? Popularity, being with the in crowd, doing what the in crowd does. It's our happiness is truly our own story to write, because in the end, when you come home from that thing, that event that you felt you had to be a part of and go to because of peer pressure, be it societal, be it friends, or even family members, when you walk through the door and put away your keys, that's who you are, right? The person that came back through the door. The pretense is so much of a weight that is why we do that. It's not just because we're home, and home is where the heart is and that good stuff, and it's comfortable and it's our safe space. It's simply because the entire time we were at whatever it was or doing whatever it was, we were pushing this boulder up this hill in pretense, just mentally pushing this boulder because we're pretending. And then when we get inside and put away our keys is the one time we just let it all go and go back to who we really are. And if it's professional careers, some look at that as not being ambitious enough and you're lacking somehow. And I don't understand. I've done other episodes and I've talked about how much or what is truly defined as enough. And I don't want to go into that in this episode, but intellectual integrity is another thing that we give up when we conform or when we think we have to be in the in crowd. What do I mean by that? Not everybody is fortunate to have a formal education. Get that. Check. Okay? Given. Not everyone is mature enough and have lived long enough to have formulated an education built on questioning, critical thinking throughout their lives. Okay? Because the formal education is okay, but critical thinking does not require one. All right? So, what am I getting at? Some people call it dumbing down to be in certain groups, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with dumbing down simply based on what I just said about formal education and informal education. People are smart without books, just smarter with them, I think. That's my opinion. But people are smart without books. But if that group insists on always talking about nothing that is substantive to life, to improving our personal growth, to improving our environment, to improving our neighbors, to improve community, to question things, to critical think. If the group is always just dealing in nonsense, do not waste your intellect. Okay? Don't. It's not, and you don't have to dumb down. You just have to say, hey, have you ever considered thing X and test the waters, see where that goes? And it's not all the time. Don't get me wrong. You don't have to be in this philosophical mindset every time, all day, every day. But what is your day about if it's just spent in nonsense, be it digital nonsense, be it just wasting time, whatever it is, if you are not exercising your little gray cells, as Hercule Poirot calls them, if you're not exercising your gray cells every now and then, your prefrontal cortex, if you're not, What is it all for? What is it all for? And if you have burned the candle on both ends and have acquired a formal education, sorry, not sorry. Okay? Sorry, not sorry. Understood. Life gets a vote, and not everyone is fortunate. But sorry, not sorry. I am not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to use it to be indifferent, to be unkind, to be an affront to my neighbor. But I'm not going to apologize for it either, because that is me. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be more educated formally so that I can take the informal and the formal and build this repertoire of self understanding, right? Understanding the human condition. But don't have to apologize for your formal education and not wanting to hang out in certain groups, because that group, just like I said, continues down a path that is not you. It's, I mentioned authenticity, and I'm going to close with it. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're still watching at this point, you know it. You guys are rock stars, and I appreciate you being here and giving me a listening ear. But yeah, I'm going to finish with authenticity here shortly. But it's nuts. It's nuts when people of intellect get boxed in and judged. And don't get me wrong, there are some people out there that truly are assholes. Okay, they are. They they're an affront. They push their achievements onto people and they flaunt their blessings. But I'm talking about those of us who have burned the candle on both ends simply because it was and is a lifetime goal of learning, always learning, never believing that you've acquired all the knowledge you need, because only a fool believes that. Okay? Only a fool believes that. But yeah, let's talk about the biggest thing that I think we give up when we conform or when we have to think and be like the in crowd. And that is just our authenticity. And you hear it so often. I mean, you do. You hear it so often on YouTube, other channels, and all of it. When it's talking about authenticity in its correct form, all of it is it's is good substance for our soul and is worthwhile. But what is it? I I've even used more profound ways to explain it, but the best way is just really looking at that person in the mirror and asking, who are you? Who are you? And if you can't honestly answer the question, if there is doubt, then you'll never truly be authentic. You'll always try. You will always be trying to find the answer. But if you can answer the question, I value these things. This is me. I am Warren. What you see is what you get. There is no pretense. There is no conformity. This is me. If you can answer the question directly and honestly like that, then that is you. That is authenticity. If you're having doubt, like I said, kind of getting to an answer, you're still working on it. And that is fine. And that is fine. And I will wrap up with this. I know it's hard. Nothing we talk about on our show is easy. I know it's hard pushing that boulder up the hill every day, only for it to roll back down. I get it. But what's the alternative, right? have to step off into that void anyway. And I get that that void is tough because it doesn't offer answers. You got to find them on your own. I get that. It's tough. But at the end of the day, that is who you really are. Okay? So I've never tried to please the crowd because what I know they don't approve of and what they approve of, I don't know. All right? You think about that and be good out there. Until our next conversation, you be good out there. Take care of yourselves and thanks for stopping by. We'll talk again soon. See ya.